Welcome, Guardian Scholars. You have finished the first third of the semester, Level 0 and Level 1, and we're moving on to Level 3, Week 6. In Week 6, we're going to begin talking about how to choose your rhetorical weapons. How are you going to persuade people, and how are people seeking to persuade you? So on our Monday Zoom class, we'll be talking about the classic rhetorical appeals, logos, pathos, ethos, and kairos, and we'll be doing some pre-reading discussion of grit. And then this week we actually have 3 chapters of grit that we're going to be reading, each of them on different due dates. So on Tuesday, we'll have Chapter 7, which is about how to grow your grit from the inside through deliberate practice and extensive practice. So she's not just going to say you should practice, but she's going to talk about the quality and type of practice that you need to do. Also on Tuesday, we're going to have some videos on logos, pathos, ethos, and kairos. And so these are all videos that I made. And then I have a quiz. Again, you can take it as often as you need, but there's no time limit. And so just be aware that, it's a low stakes thing. Our weekly reflective journal 6 has to do with the idea of mindset, which is actually going to connect to Chapter 9 on hope, where she talks about the idea of having a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. And so I've got a little quiz that you can take. It's really like just a few minutes to take it. So it'll take you to this external website. And then it'll tell you a little bit about where your mindset is at this moment in time. But just like with grit, your mindset can change. Then for our Wednesday Zoom study room, we're going to prepare for our writing sprint level 2, and we'll be doing a reading workshop. And so please bring your grit book, and we'll be taking some time to do some reading together. And then after that, there's an asynchronous alternative that will be posted. And then we're going to go to MRL 6, Chapter 8 on purpose. And the idea is here is that if you have an other-centered purpose, you are more able to persevere when things get tough, to keep going. And so this is another way that you can grow your grit from the inside. Okay. After that, our Writing Center activity for this week is on improving quoting skills. This is a terrific DLA. You can see I have one version of it here, but if you go into the Writing Reading Center, you will be able to find it under the Formatting and Citations module. And I do have an alternate activity posted here because on Wednesday from 1 to 2, there will be a workshop on taking focused notes. And so you would turn in 3 to 5 things you learned from the workshop if you choose to do that instead of the Formatting and Citations module activity. Everything, just a reminder, everything below here is information like, okay, if you have a PDF and you want to make it a Google Doc, how do you do that? About what the DLA is worth if you meet with an instructor versus if you don't meet with an instructor. And then also how you can access the Smart Thinking tutors if you're not able to get to the Writing Center. Then our last MRL for this week is Chapter 9 on hope. And this one, again, it has to do with that growth mindset versus fixed mindset. So the idea is not just that things will be better, but that your effort will actually make a difference. And then we get to Writing Sprint 2, and this is another 3-hour, but it doesn't have to take you 3 hours. Quick write. So if you want to, I'm going to look at whether you have 5 paragraphs, 500 words, and does it address the prompt. And then we're going to be practicing those claim, evidence, commentary sandwiches. I'm going to ask you to have 3 quotations from grit using ties. That's tag, introduce, embed, split. The videos on claim, evidence, commentary, and ties are in week 4. So if you missed that, or if you need a quick review, you can go back to the week 4, and maybe I'll go in and embed these later. So if you don't remember what those are, please go to that. I also reviewed it on Monday of week 5. So if you watch the week 5 Monday video, I'll go over that. And then I'm going to look for, do you have a clear organization and clear transitions? And have you edited? It doesn't need to be perfect, but you should take at least 15 minutes near the end to edit. Your sprinting strategies are in here. They're going to be the same every time. And then the study guide here has the actual question. For each of the 4 foundations of grit, interest, practice, purpose, and hope. So you have to read the chapters. We already read the chapter on interest in level 1. How does Duckworth define the term, and why does she think it's so important to developing grit? So your metacognitive reading logs are helpful. You could think about those golden lines and 8-word summaries. And then for each of the 4 foundations of grit, I want you to think about examples from your own experience and observation. So this even could be including some of those competition-focused reality TV shows. There's a great one, 2 great ones on Netflix are Losers and Cheer, and then Making the Cut on Amazon Prime. But there's also a lot of other ones that would work where you can see how people who are really competing and trying to succeed have deep interest, how the way that they practice. Cheer is really interesting for how they practice. The sense of other-centered purpose, the sense of maybe doing things for their teammate or for their family, and then or for people that they represent, right? And then hope, the idea that if you put in that effort that you will get success as a result. And so those are really terrific for the writing sprint too. So you can kind of be thinking about those even before you get to the writing sprint. So as always, I wanted to leave you with one more thing, is just remember for the next week, on Monday, we're going to be discussing the second section of reading from the book club crew logs. And so I do have the reading assignments here at the end of the module. They're not due until Tuesday, but because we're discussing on Monday, you're going to get 2 power-up points if you turn it in before we meet, so that you're really prepared for that discussion. So I didn't want to make a Sunday deadline or a Saturday deadline, but if you can get it done ahead of time, you'll get extra credit and you'll be ready for the discussion. So that, in a nutshell, is week 6, and I'll see you all on Monday.